All right, hey guys. So welcome along to this little chat. My name's Josh Pyke. I'm a musician and singer-songwriter. And last year I was very honoured to be involved in presenting the nomination and then subsequently the award for the Aria Music Teacher of the Year award. Finally said it right. To Renee here at Woodcroft College. So I was flown down to Adelaide and we surprised Renee with and her class with the nomination. It was one of her students that had nominated her. And it was fantastic. And we had a jam, we filmed the event, and then, as I said, Renee went on to actually win the award, and I was lucky enough to present it to her at the Arias in a private ceremony and then also on stage on a televised event. It was very exciting, wasn't it? So it was an initiative between Aria and the Song Room, and it was sponsored by Telstra. And the Song Room does an amazing job of putting educational arts and music programs in schools and also in disadvantaged schools to raise awareness for the fact that music and arts education raises things like literacy rates. It actually raises attendance rates in schools. It has raised NAPLAN results. And it's more broad-reaching than just learning about music and arts. It actually engages students to kind of want to be at school. So without further ado, Miss Renée McCarthy.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. No.
So Renée, I think everyone wants to know a little bit more about you. You're a famous award-winning teacher now, a television personality, a snappy dresser. But you are a fabulously enthusiastic teacher and a music lover. But can you tell us a bit more about your own musical background?
Sure. So I'm Renée, everyone, and I'm Director of Music at a school in South Australia, Woodcroft College. Feel very privileged to work there. It is a college, but it's a low-fee school, and I think my students do an amazing job to sort of make their mark on the world of music. So I'm very, very, very lucky. I think I have the best job in the world, and as Josh said, that it came as a complete surprise. So I have 6 music captains, and they nominated me, and I didn't hear about it. In fact, I hadn't even heard of, sadly, I hadn't heard of the Song Room until now.
Neither had I, to be honest.
I know, and that's terrible. So I feel that we're in a good position now to spread the word. But what I learned from the Song Room was that 3 in 4 children don't have exposure to music education. And
75%, guys. 3 out of 4.
Thank you, mathematician Josh Pyke.
3 out of 4.
But that's really sad because that's my everyday job and my life, and I get to see the joy from all of my students. So the fact that students don't have that, I feel privileged to be here now. And apparently my students were joking with the staff member that helped them with the application, and they were going, what if she wins? Or she'll get a mentor and someone will visit. And my colleague was going, don't get excited, it's really nice what you're doing. And they're like, we told you. So when I first came back off the plane with Aria, I went straight to school. It was after hours, and the principal had said, would anyone stay back? And my whole class was there. And they're like, are you still going to teach us, Miss Mac? Are you too famous now? I'm like, of course I'm going to teach you. There was 1,000 selfies, and that Aria has that many fingerprints on it. It's not funny.
Where is it? Have you kept it at school or is it at your home?
My principal was so proud that he bought a replica.
Oh, that's
I
lovely.
guess like managers do, and
But
he
where's
has one at school.
But you said he's retired now.
Yeah, he
so
just want to take it home.
So my question remains: is the Aria in the school or is it?
Actually, I don't know. Maybe at his new house.
No, where's your Aria? Where's your
Mine's
Aria?
at home, and every day I walk past and go, I've got an Aria. Like,
Well,
ridiculous.
let's backtrack a bit because obviously it was a long road to get to a point where you're a lauded, award-winning and much-loved teacher. So, but what was your background? Like when you started, when you were a kid, were you engaged in music? Were you a sporty kid that found music through a broken ankle? What happened?
Did that happen to you?
No. I never played sport.
My parents actually never had music. and my dad likes to sing, and so does my grandpa. So one of their parenting goals was that we should have music lessons, and they gave us piano lessons, and we all liked it. There's 3 of us. And in high school, I met my music teacher, Mr. Morris and Mr. Barreau, 2 of them. Just amazing people, and my love of music started there. So I started up clarinet, saxophone, singing lessons, joined the band, and I never looked back. And in year 9, I went, I'm going to be a music teacher. Started, and every single teacher said, that's ridiculous, don't be a teacher, it's terrible, you'll hate it, it's boring, there's marking, and I just wanted to do it. And in year 12, actually, when I did my solo performance, the examiner said, are you going to audition for uni as a performer? And I said, no, I'm going to be a teacher. And they were like, oh, why? Like it was a second choice. It's always been my first choice, and I'm really, really proud to be a teacher.
So obviously that's fantastic, and it's something that we spoke about earlier as well. We were at an event in the morning at Federation Square, which was highlighting some of the kids that have been involved in the Songroom programs. And one of the things that we both pointed out was that to engage in music, you don't have to have aspirations to be a performer or a professional musician. It's about having a lifelong love of music and the arts, and also supporting people that might want to pursue that thing. So you said you had never. Did you ever have aspirations to be a professional musician, or was it always you wanted to be more of a support person and mentor for other people?
I think it was always about the love of it. That was just, it makes you feel happy. And I was part of a bigger picture than myself. So I was in ensembles and we got to do concerts. I guess when you're playing with others, there's not the nerves. And it was just a happy place. So to now be a teacher, I've created that home and safe place where the students call the music centre and all of us the music family. So I guess that's probably what it felt like for me. And I love the fact that you don't have to be the best or the most talented. You don't even have to want to be a musician, but you can still embrace music and love it. And seeing those children today, I literally nearly cried. There were some dancers too, and they were just all giving it a go. And that's what it's about. That's what I love, taking part and sharing the joy of the arts.
And you mentioned that a bunch of teachers, when you said that you wanted to be a teacher, you know, had sort of negative things to say about being a teacher. How would you respond to them now being an award-winning?
Look at me!
Yeah.
I'm in contact, and some of them are really proud, and I think they thought you could do better, but I thought I want to be a teacher and be the best teacher I can be, because it's a job to be proud of. Like, I don't see it as a second choice. Whereas I think some people go, I'll try as a musician, it's tough out there, go be a teacher. I want to be a teacher. I want to teach people that. So I felt proud to have that, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that was their second choice. I don't know. But I'm excited to be here and feel very privileged.
So let's talk a bit more about the Aria Music Teacher of the Year, the award, and sort of everything that came before it. So just tell us a little bit more. So the initiative I mentioned before is between Aria and the Songroom, and it was sponsored by Telstra. And the Songroom, I mentioned a little bit about it, but it's a non-profit organisation, and they sort of identified that music and arts education was really important in, you know, helping in a broad range of educational pursuits for kids, particularly with disadvantaged kids. And this morning we saw a bunch of kids, some of them had been in the country for 3 weeks from, you know, they were refugees and kids from disadvantaged backgrounds. And it was wonderful to see them engaging in music and art in a way that allowed them to kind of leave those troubles behind for a little while. So it's a fantastic initiative. But I wanted to find out exactly how you got nominated, because there was one particular student that kind of rallied the troops. And what was the process? You must know the process by now.
Well, I know it now, but I didn't know it then. So his name is Jordan Kitchingman, who I lovingly called Kitchy, and he's a massive personality and just very selfless and special. And so he talked to the captains and filled it in. They kept it a secret. They're terrible with secrets. I don't know how they didn't tell me. Although, for a few weeks, they were going, have you got an email? I'm like, I've got hundreds of emails. You emailed me like 10 times this morning. No, but have you got something? I'm like, what are you talking about? So they were probably getting excited. And then when they knew that it was in consideration. They were just over the moon. That they're
But was it
so
a
happy.
video nomination, or how did they? What was it?
So, well, they saw it actually on TV.
Ah.
It was advertised on a program, and then they nominated me, and then I was emailed, and then I had the chance to complete my part of the process. So that was actually a written a statement about what you've achieved, if you've made a difference to the community, I guess a difference within the school, what your beliefs were for teaching, for music, the importance of music education. And it's funny to do that when you don't really think about it until you do it. And then also you had to show a video of yourself teaching. And I was so busy because as a teacher you focus on the next concert and the next performance, and there's always rehearsals. And I thought, I'll do that properly. And on the last day of school, I opened it. I knew I had 2 weeks to go. I felt so excited that it had happened. And it said I had to send a video of me teaching. And I went, I've ruined it. And they did this big thing for me, and I've ruined it. So I looked up Songroom, phoned, spoke to a lovely lady, who I now know as Alice. And I said, because I wanted to tell my students I ruined it, and I was sorry. And she asked about me and the school. And I said, just doing some good things, we're trying our best, and we play for fun, and there's lots of things we'd achieved, and I'd taken them overseas, and she says, put your application in, it sounds like you're doing some good things with music. And I felt very lucky that I talked to her. I sent in a video of a music centre with no children because it was holidays, but I know what it's there, the vibe, you can feel it when the students aren't there, because it's a home for us and we've created it. It's sort of, you see it, you would have felt it. When you came, I cried within minutes, but...
I have that effect on people. That's what happened.
Yes, you were fabulous. And actually, for everyone to know, I had been to see Josh at a gig. And
Yeah, we were discussing this earlier. It was the first tour that I did with Bob Evans 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
And you were at the show in Adelaide at the Gov.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And I remember we chatted after the show, and no, I don't remember that.
Well, that is a total lie. But when you did come, besides the fact that it was ridiculously exciting, I was looking around the room and there were 90 students and they were playing for me. And I thought, I'm just like so lucky. It was actually bigger than the Arias or anything that I thought. They were playing their hearts out for me, and I think I'm like a mess. But
It's getting a little teary now.
it just makes me feel so proud. How would you not want to be a teacher and inspire students? So I actually tell them when they do it wrong, when they muck up, but I just like to see them give it a go. And they step up to the plate, and there they were, and I couldn't be more proud. And now I have an Aria, which is crazy. But even if I didn't, I'd still be just as proud.
And so, sorry, that's beautiful. We should acknowledge that that commitment from you. I remember when we came over there, we did the grand entrance into the room, and and you were overwhelmed and excited, and then we had to do it again and again and again and again. But you were a fantastic actress. It was great. But the kids were great, and I could definitely feel the vibe in the room. They were obviously very, very engaged. And so, speaking about the kids themselves, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your approach to music education. You've spoken a little bit about it, but now you're an award-winning teacher. You have a lot to say, and you ran a masterclass earlier today. So I'm sure you spoke a lot about your approach to teaching. But one thing that struck me when we were chatting in Woodcroft was things about the sort of above and beyond mentality that you have with school, where it's really your you've really committed yourself and your life to it, and you started initiatives like taking the kids overseas and things like that. So I just wanted to talk to you a bit about that above and beyond mentality.
I think if you really love what you do, no matter what the profession, you're going to put your heart and soul into it. And my job is my passion, and I feel it's a privilege to teach students music. So no matter what their background, they can all take part, and I see the love in them, and it makes me want to do more for them. And it wasn't until my application that I realised what I'd done. So I'm taking students overseas to New York, LA, Washington, Florida in November, and I see them up there and I think you know, we're a sort of a low-fee school down south. Other of the more fancy schools don't really know about us that much. And I'm going to put them on that stage. They're worthy of that stage, and they're going to remember it forever. So I think if the more you invest, the more you get back. It's like bucket filling, and it's not about being the best. It's praising effort, not results, and committing and giving everything you've got. And I have to do the same myself. So yes, there's rehearsals. Next Saturday, I'm going to a student gig at 11 o'clock at a pub in the city. And you know what? I can't be more proud that I'll be there to support them, because it's not just something you can do in the day and go, you know, I really do believe in them. I want them to succeed, whether it's just casual pub gigging or they want to pursue it as their career. You can't say that you want that for them and then not support them. So you have to do that. And
in terms of, you know, encouraging them, and you say you're going to these gigs, are there any stories that you can tell us about any of the kids that you've taught that have gone on to do, you know, big things, little things, medium things, but, you know, things that you saw them, I guess, saw the results of what you'd invested in them after school?
I think
or even during school.
Well, so there's a student now who was approached when he was 16 to go on The Voice. And he said no, and I really admired him for that, because he wanted to do it for him, not for that. And he thought some things about TV that it might be maybe a bit contrived. And he's performing in Canada. He ended up with an ATAR of 99.8 for our school, which he was music captain, leading the musicals. He's just incredibly talented, and he's doing his own thing, and I think that's amazing. Doesn't matter what he comes of it, because it's the perseverance and all the other assets of learning music that come through. And I've got a student, Dale, who was in America with me on the music tour, music captain, and he said, I'm to live here and run a hotel. And that's nothing to do with music, but it was part of that. And he said it was being a captain, and he learnt leadership, and he learnt to believe in himself and achieve his dreams. And he's now in his final year of his management course, and you know, he keeps in contact, and that to me that's a win. Like, that's a win. I don't need them to be famous. Cami was on The Voice last year. I flew over to support her. I watched her on TV in her family home, and I think that's a win, whether she chooses to pursue it or not. Just for that self-belief and all of the values that come with it, confidence, working with others. Does it really matter to me if they become famous? What matters is they become the best version of themselves in whatever they want to do beyond school. But they all say they miss the music family, and they keep in contact, and it meant something special. So if that's like the biggest compliment possible, because apparently research says in your life that you have 40 to 60 teachers and you remember maybe 2 or 3. So it's not very many.
No.
So what's happening to the rest? So I don't set out to do that, but if they look back, and they always want to come back and help at concerts, I think they loved it. It really did mean something.
Yeah, I can attest, having seen it, the kids loved it. We rocked up, and not only meeting the kids that had nominated Renee, but the kids in the band. You know, they were very, very engaged. They were like way more. I was just looking at them going like, man, this is not what I was like as a 15, 16-year-old. They were like really engaged.
We're going to talk about that later.
No. But they were very engaged, and they were all really good, and they were really respectful. They were very confident, and you could tell that it sort of extended beyond music, which is a good thing. Very eloquent kids. So now it's your turn to take over.
Excellent. You're in the hot seat.
That's where I like to be.
Let's start with high school.
It's good times.
No, seriously. So obviously, I saw Josh gig, and I really loved your music, and that's why I went to see you gig. And I was a fan before I met you. Since I met you, it's a different story. No, just jokes. Josh is amazingly talented, I think. But how did it start? Did you have a success story in high school for music?
No, so I didn't at all, and we've spoken about this obviously over the year that we've known each other. So I went to a selective school, so I was very academic, but I wasn't actually particularly an academic kid. I was just naturally heaps smart, so I was just like, just got in. But I wanted to do music for the HSC, and I couldn't do it because they said it wasn't academic enough. So and I put together a petition with a bunch of other students, and we got we got a teacher that was willing to teach the class. But my principal, we went and had a meeting with the principal and everything, and he said, you know, you should go to another school if this is what you want to do. So it was very demoralising, and it kind of it turned me off the whole idea of sort of studying music and music as a you know an academic pursuit. And it's actually only something that I've come back to, you know, recently. The idea of actually studying music and learning instruments in the proper way. So subsequently, I was self-taught, and I don't necessarily think it hindered me, but it definitely it confused me. It made me feel like the pursuit of music was very second class, you know.
And that's really sad, because not everyone's going to be that top academic student, and if they're going to get a C in music in year 12 and love it, I say that's amazing. Through the Arias, I've had lots of opportunities, and back home I opened a School of Rock night at a local winery, which is awesome. It's giving high school students a platform, and I was really proud to do it. But I talked to the students and I said, you know, give me a bit of background. You know, what's going on at school? Do you love it? Has it helped you? I haven't really heard of, I don't want to say what school, but I said, I haven't really heard of your school music program. They said, that's because it's something naughty there, insert word. And I went, terrible. But then I thought, wow, you've done this by yourself, so that's amazing. So you can do it, and you've obviously did it, but you obviously had to work hard for that.
Yeah, there's different types of musicians as well, and I think you know, the sort of musician I am, I always kind of enjoyed more the, you know, jamming and writing element. So for instance, I had guitar lessons for a little while, but then as soon as he taught me the first Soundgarden song that he taught me, I was like, all right, I'm done. I can take it from here, thanks. Which is fine, and it's one approach, but the only music teacher that I had in high school made music seem like a real nerdy chore. You know, she was I won't name names, bless her, I'm sure she was a lovely person, but she was a much older lady, and she made it seem very conservative, and you know, when we'd try and sort of mix things up and ask if we could play, you know, Led Zeppelin songs and stuff like that, she didn't want to do that. So for me, music education was very conservative and boring, and it was really refreshing to walk into your class and see, you know, people playing contemporary music, and they were really excited. And we played one of my songs, and the kids they jammed on it. You know, they actually had the capacity to improvise as well. So it was you know, if I'd had that kind of experience in music as a high school student, I think I mean hopefully things wouldn't have turned out differently, but at least I would have enjoyed high school more.
Well, you might like to know that Josh signed a guitar while he was there, and everyone fights to use that one in band. So it's very well treasured.
It's got some mojo on it.
I know. They're like, you promised, Miss Mac. So you're very important. But actually, at the minute, my year 11s are doing like a version Triple J covers.
Oh, great.
But I think it's all about knowing your students and what they want to do and achieve. So, you know, we have classical musicians. I've got a student who's grade 8 and who's only grade 8 piano, who's only year 7. So there's lots of different aspects to being good at what you do, but I think you have to respect what they all want to do. And if I have 11 guitarists in a year 10 class band, and I'm not going to kick any one of them out. I just have to write music that works. Work with me, people, I say. But taking beyond school now, what do you think are the benefits of sort of involvement with music?
Well, I mean, so from an academic point of view, it didn't really do much for me, which was sad. But in terms of the rest of my life, music has been everything. You know, it's you know, from an early age I was in a band, and that was just pivotal in having any kind of confidence as a kid at all. So I knew I could sing, but I'd never sung publicly. And my friends had started a rock band, and they said, you know, we know you can sing. Do you want to come and sing at this school assembly? And I initially said no, because I just couldn't think of anything worse, you know. And then my mum said, you know, just do it once. If you hate it, you never have to do it again. But
Well done, Mum.
Yeah, it was good. And so I did it, and I was absolutely terrified, but I was also completely addicted. And then it was, from there, I was in a band all the way through high school, and it taught me, it really taught me. I wasn't a sporty kid, so I wasn't in teams, but it taught me teamwork, and it taught me diplomacy, and it taught me communication skills, allocation of responsibilities. And then when we left high school and we tried to pursue it more seriously, it taught me small business skills. You had to set up an ABN and budgeting and event management and planning, booking flights and booking tours, marketing. So it taught me a lot of things that, I wouldn't have otherwise had access to, in particularly in such a kind of engaged way, because it was really exciting to learn all those things through the vehicle being this thing that I love to do. So music has given me all of those things. Not to mention a creative outlet, which is, first and foremost
that's the big
for
one.
me. Yeah.
But on top of that, and being an Aria ambassador and coming to my school and supporting that role, it's what you've learned in the industry that has probably helped you to realise what it takes. But not only that, you've given back to the community because you actually have helped other musicians to grow their careers, and I'm not talking just financially, such as the JP partnership. So can you tell us a little bit about your mentorship programs?
So I started that 5 years ago now. We've done it for 5 years, and I just sort of recognised that there was a gap in the funding market for the arts, where there's quite a lot of music grants, but there was none that really offered proper hands-on mentorship. And so I started it, and I approached AMCOS to chip in for funding, and I judge it all myself. There's a couple of hundred entries every year, and it's really fascinating, but it's quite a big investment of time. But it's been great, and the people that have won in the past couple of years, Angie McMahon, Gordy, Alex Leahy, they've gone on to huge things. And it's just really gratifying, and I just kind of felt that, if you're in a position to help in life, it's like it's the above and beyond thing. It's like you with organising, trips overseas and organising, School of Rock nights and stuff. I just got to a point where I felt like music had given me a lot and given me a life that I can't imagine a better one, and so I just wanted to do something back. And that's basically it.
That's like a big it. I think it's amazing because not everyone does do that and give back. And you realise what it takes, and you've put that knowledge into helping other people. And for that reason, you are very deserving of being an Aria ambassador, I think. Because other people, you could just do your own thing, but you don't. And you don't sort of go around saying what you're doing. And I think you're helping people because it's actually hard to get started.
It is. It's very hard to get started, and when I started, I felt a bit lost out in the world of the music industry because at the time that I started, there wasn't a whole lot of solo singer-songwriters doing kind of what I was doing, so I didn't have a crew to kind of like come up through the ranks with. So I have felt that there needs to be a bit more of that passing on of the knowledge because the industry is only getting harder and harder as well.
Well, besides music. Don't get a fat head, all right, because I'm going to give you another compliment. You're actually really interested in children's literacy, particularly children in remote communities. Can you tell us about that?
I'll briefly tell you about this, and then I'm going to take the paper back and talk more about you. So I'm an ambassador for the Indigenous Literacy Foundation, and they put books into remote Indigenous communities. And the only agenda is to raise literacy levels in remote Indigenous communities. They do it all with the blessing of the elders, and they also translate books into language, local Indigenous languages. It's just a fabulous thing to be involved with. Literacy has held a huge part of my career in terms of writing lyrics and being involved in music in general. It's a language of its own.
Well, it's impressive, and it deserves a round of applause for Josh. Wait.
So I wanted to, we have touched on this, but I wanted to get your point of view on because this is Education Week, so I wanted to talk to you about why music in particular is important in schools? We talked about other things like confidence and stuff like that, but why do you think it's important in a general school program curriculum?
How long have we got?
I don't know. How long
The
have we
list
got?
is huge.
10
I'll
minutes.
probably forget everything. Learning music, I'll save my favourite till last, but it teaches you discipline, organisation, to be responsible, teamwork, mentorship, confidence. It helps you with maths. Learning music actually makes learning easier. That's probably the better way. A lot of people say that it uses both sides of the brain, but it's not quite correct. It makes learning easier. And they say students who take up an instrument, they're learning to manage their time. And if you learn an instrument, you're joining an ensemble. And if you're in an ensemble or a band or something, you're playing with other people. That's sometimes a good platform for nervous people. Like you said, the first time was scary. And it's an amazing time to, sometimes you can hide from emotion or you can release emotions, like it's a creative outlet for your soul. And my favorite one is it makes people happy. And I had a student and she lost her mum in year 11. And that's, it's horrible for anyone for that to happen. And the only thing that helped her going was coming to band, and she would cry in there, but it was a safe place for her. And the students wanted to learn a song for her mum, and it was a way that they could do that for her without saying anything. She can't pat someone and say there, because nothing was going to fix her, but it helped to heal her. It was a way that she could play and get in the zone and not think about anything. And there's a lot of power in that. And for some students, music is just that pure joy. And you can play music by yourself or with other people. There's no rules with it. And I think music education is incredibly powerful. I could go on forever for the benefits, but my favourite one is the social one, because students tend to, these days, can play with the Xbox or the something on their own, and I think they have a reason and a purpose to get involved and get performing, and they work towards small goals, and they're persevering and seeing they can achieve things. And in a band, everyone's got a place. You don't have to be that front person. Our motto now at school, new one, is one band, one sound, which is together you belong together. So to me, it doesn't matter where you start, you can get in, give it a go, and they get better and they want to get better, and they're reaching and kicking small goals along the way. And for those students who can do it in year 12, not that you had that, homework is not a chore. It's like a joy. They're practicing guitar and they love to do that, and it's a life skill that's going to take them further. So I just think it's unbelievably valuable, hence why I'm really lucky to be in the job that I'm in.
I think that deserves a round of applause as well. So, in terms of valuing teachers, how important do you think it is to recognise the value of teachers? I guess not just music teachers, but teachers in general. We've had the Aria award-winning element of music teaching. Do you think teachers get enough recognition in general?
I don't think they look for it. I think that it's probably undervalued. I think they wear so many hats. You've got to be parent, counsellor, fundraiser. You're trying to scout students. You do so many things. And I think it is really nice that teachers are being recognised, because I think ultimately we're trying to shape young lives and get young people to achieve their best, whatever that is. And you can't want more than that. So if people are going into uni and that career and wanting to be a teacher, I think this is fantastic, because young people need positive influences, whatever subject choices, just to believe in themselves and get out there and do something good and realise that they can achieve good and big things if they really, really try and really, really work hard. So the fact that this has recognised music teachers is incredible. And I had no idea. It was in my speech. I said, here I am, just a teacher at the Arias. I'm still amazed by that. But yes, I think teachers work really hard, and it's a very admirable profession.
All right, so I think we'll open it up to questions now. If anybody has any questions. Yes. Oh, hello. We can hear you. It's all right.
I think you mentioned that you weren't allowed to play Led Zeppelin when you were learning, and you said that you had a classical student and they could play what they want and your other students could play what you want. And I think a lot of teachers seem scared because what they're being asked, the music that they might be asked that their students want them to teach is not what they know. And I wonder how you get around that, because I feel like as a teacher, you should let them play what they want, but yeah, that fear factor's getting in the way for, in particular, I think classically trained teachers not wanting their kids to play or not understanding how their kids can play rock music.
Yeah, it's a really good question, because all music is amazing and you have to have talent to do all music. I think there's balance. So I'll give a song to my students that is probably maybe not one that they will embrace initially, and then they learn to love. So today we heard a very talented band and they played Birdland, and we did a rock version of that, and it's much more a jazz style theme, and I loved it. And you know, it's funny to say that they didn't know who Queen was. They didn't. They love Queen now and they're like, it's amazing. So I think if they actually believe in you and know that you believe in them, you can achieve really good outcomes for everyone. And I talk about who are we performing for. So we look at who's in the audience. So in an ensemble, we might have an opera number as well. So we do all sorts. But in answer to your question, yes, some people are scared. And some people, though, they only know what they know and they've got the blinkers on and they don't want to change. But we have to change because society's changing and it demands for it. And there's nothing wrong with playing whatever style. And I know for South Australia, it doesn't matter whatever you play at year 12, all is acceptable. They're looking at your skill level and proficiency and expression in any song. So you're limiting students who may not go on and pursue music if you say you can only do this style. But I think some people tend to teach the way they were taught and only teach what they know, and then those subjects, sadly, will probably not stay healthy with numbers. So I've had to embrace that with my students, but I love it. But then again, we do variety and they love that too. And they learn to love it because I say, this is good for us and we need to try a different challenge. And they trust me. They trust that I'm believing in them and want the best for them. And so they will do that together. So I don't let them do what they want. One of my colleagues says, I'm not a DJ. I don't do requests. It's a bit of both worlds for me, and I think it has good results.
Yes, up the back there.
Firstly, just congratulations to both of you for what you do. It's fantastic. Josh, you talked about mentorship before, and I've been involved in that area a bit, and I know that there's people like yourself and other wonderful musicians through the industry that are prepared to give back. I also know with the tyranny of distance in a country the size of Australia and the fact that you've got a lot of other things going on and other people like that are time poor, I keep thinking that one way to get to more people through what people like you and Renee do is technology. And as it's getting better and better with things like, you know, live video chat and whatever, I'd just be interested in both your thoughts on the trade-off between it's not totally personal if you're sitting in one space and the students are on the other side of the country, but if it's interactive, are there opportunities that you see going forward for technology to provide a really effective solution to being time poor and or the tyranny of distance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any issue with that at all. I've done things like that. Excuse me, with excuse me for a moment. Yeah, I've done things like that with live Facebook streaming events and stuff like that. And it's actually really effective, and you can still, people can comment. You need somebody kind of there to administrate it there for you. But it's completely doable, and you're right, it does make it far more viable to do something like that from Sydney to somebody in Perth or, where there's a time difference or, so absolutely, I don't see any problem with that at all. Yeah.
I agree. And students are learning instruments remotely, and technology is just another platform to provide exposure and to break down those barriers and distance. So I've seen amazing lessons. I have a student who actually has a super connection with a drum teacher who's in the Northern Territory, and he has lessons via Skype once a week. And I sat in on the lesson because the parents said, "Do you think it's working?" And I'm like, I don't know. I need to see. They're like, "Come over." I went over. It was crazy. It was like he was there in the room. So I think you can be just invested in music, and I think that's only going to help things. The technology is certainly here to help.
I think anything to remove a barrier is a good thing.
Any other questions? Give Josh a tricky one.
Actually, if no one else is going to... Oh.
I have a question for you. As a music teacher, you just talked about wearing different hats, the counselling and parental, and all the time, sometimes time poor, or maybe the student just resist what you want them to do. When you get to that point, I'm sure that you have that point where you feel like it's hard. And I'm not sure whether you do, but for me, from my experience teaching, sometimes you get to a point you feel it's really hard. Maybe the resource is poor. What's going through in your head to help you keep going, to motivate you to keep doing what you do as a music teacher?
I'll answer it in two parts. So advice for you is sometimes those difficulties occur with the student not believing in themselves, and you need to show them how they can progress. So them telling you that they can't do it and in their inner voices they do, but this generation is very much instant gratification, and so they learn to shut down when things are tricky, and you actually have to teach them how to learn how to learn. And this is going to sound terrible, but I've never had that. But my fundamental rule is that positive relationships with students wins over everything. So don't ever tell a kid off. I have 31 students in my Year 10 class. We don't even fit. We have to have an extra chair and desk. It looks like a naughty desk. And I said, this is a big class. They're giants, like they're way taller than me, and it could be hard. But the thing is, we're all there for a reason, and my number one goal with any class is to let them know that all I want is for them to give their best. So I praise effort and not results. By doing that, they don't compare themselves to others, and you don't tend to have those hurdles. I've got students struggling with theory, but they're trying their hearts out, and that's what I love. But it does take time. So I will write back on every assessment, not naughty, something. I never just give a grade. I write a comment, and it could be, "Zach, I am so proud of your progress in question 5. Maybe he's only improved in there. Maybe he failed the whole thing, but he reads what I think is amazing." And I go, then I'll see him and I'll go, "I'm proud of you." And he feels good, walks out, and he comes back going, I'm going to keep going. I will offer to be there at lunch. And yes, you do give a bit more, like, "Do you want a little bit of help?" And they normally take it up, and that has helped me to prevent those things. I mean, I wouldn't say I've got good kids, but I've got kids who are naughty in other classes, but it's all about my rapport with them and the relationship. So if they know that I believe in them, and they do, we have feedback. They can be honest, but I would hate it if they thought that I didn't. So that I really work hard on that connection with them, so that they know that I just want their best, and it's okay to fail. It is okay to fail as long as you're trying, and no one's going to be the best at everything. With 11 guitarists, someone's got to be the worst. That's awful, isn't it? But you know what? Bless him, because I love that one. And I never make him perform last in front, so he has to sit there going, "Oh no, I'm not as good as that one." He goes first, and I tell him it's all right, because it's just you out there. And then I will make every effort with every single one to go what they did well. But I will also tell them honestly what's the next goal. So the next goal for you is to work on that because we kind of lost time in the second chorus. But they can take that because they know I really care and it's coming from a place of I genuinely want them to get better. That then translates to theory and other things. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
I'll preface this question by saying I've never written a note of anything and have no musical bones in my body, but I love music. I'm fascinated by solo singer-songwriters in terms of the development of their talent, in terms of whether the lyrical quality matures quicker than the musical element or vice versa, and or is there a connection between the improvement in one of those areas and the other?
I would say that's different for every, singer-songwriter, but speaking for myself, lyrics always came first. And I don't think I was a particularly good guitarist when I started writing songs. It was just more a vehicle to get the songs out and get the sentiment out and the lyrics, really, the narratives. So, yeah, only speaking for myself, but for me it was more, the lyrical development was sort of more important to me, and then I became a better musician by continuing to write songs, and now it probably is 50-50, I reckon. Yeah.
I don't write songs. I teach people to write songs. I tell them however it works for you, because I know some will come up with a riff or a lick or a theme or something, and some will start with lyrics. If we've got students who pen, I just asked you today if you write notes down, and Josh was saying some on his phone, but he likes to write. So I think it's very unique to the artist themselves. Good question.
Yes.
Thank you. Hi. I recently started at a secondary school that's had no real culture of music there before. So I'm really building from the bottom up, and I've just appointed 4 music captains. So I'm really interested to know how you're using your music captains and what sort of level of responsibility you give them.
They have a huge responsibility. So we started with nothing as well. My concert band was 8 students, just so you know. So I didn't walk into this wonderful, never really thought about what we had until we sort of had it. It's just grown. So you'll get there, and I think that's amazing. We have 6 music captains, and just as an aside, we have 4 sport houses at our school, right? Red, green, blue and yellow. There are 4 sport captains for each one of those houses. Last year, 4 times the amount of students applied for music captain than all 4 houses combined. That to me is just like, yes, music. But they really want to do it. So, but that's because I think that a house captain has basically a 2-day position. They go to swimming, carnival and athletics and help with the enrolments, and music captain is all the time. So at band, they are mentoring. If we meet a young student, I did last week, and I'd never met him before, and sadly I heard that he'd come from another school and he'd been bullied for learning a different instrument. So I've gone to my band captain and said, Albert, there's this boy, you need to look after him. And they do that, and they mentor in a very lovely, kind way, scoop them up in the family. They help with the planning of activities. We have a showcase, it's a big event in term 3. In fact, we have to limit tickets because we sell out in 5 days. But the captains hold the first round of auditions on their own. That's really important. Give them responsibility, so I don't micromanage. They have roles. They do that all on their own. And they even go, don't peep, Miss Mac, because I want to know what's happening. But I go on round 2, and I completely trust them. So it's actually giving them more responsibility, helping them to lead ensembles. Often I might take the vocalist and say, someone step up. Small doses at first, and they learn, and they really value that belief in them, and it then turns into a pride of position. We had a year 6 just Friday at concert band. It's 7:30 in the morning going, I want to be a captain. And we're like, she's only in year 6. Like, you can't be a captain till you're 12. We've never had that. So they're looking up to their peers. So their peers are pivotal positions with responsibility that you will let them assist you, but not as secretaries, real meaningful mentorship roles. Does that help? No worries.
All right, no more questions? Okay, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for coming, and give it up again for Renee. McCarthy. What's that?
Thank you so
For
much,
Miss Mac.
everyone. Thank you.
Renee McCarthy.
Thank you. And for Josh Pyke.